Basically, what this next meditation is all about is kind of what we've already briefly touched on, which is slowly learning to actually become vulnerable to our experience as it's happening. Because counterintuitively, that's how we actually make progress in feeling better. That's how we make insight progress as well. It's an essential part of it. Um, so, in some sense, you can actually think of this exercise as basically a practice to improve our ability to be vulnerable to experience while it's happening. All right. So now I'll invite you to close your eyes again, unless you don't want to, in which case you don't need to. And get back in your alert, symmetrical, upright, yet deeply relaxed posture. And we're going to see if we can just move a bit deeper back into that sense of relaxation that we came out of at the end of the last meditation. Just see if we can kind of relax everything again. But this time, as you do it, see if you can stay a little bit more alert as it's happening. And now we are going to open our attention up to any sensations which arise. So whether they show up in the body as, let's say, pain or tingling or pulsating or whatever, or they show up as emotions or as thoughts, as sounds, or as images. So just take a moment to see if you can notice things as they're arising in awareness. So if you can notice physical sensations, sounds, visual field on the back of your eyelids, any emotional tones. And this is the space we'll be working in. Now, the next thing you notice, I want you to see if you can fully embrace that sensation. To see if you can allow it to be there and welcome it as fully as you can. Like with everything you've got, with your whole being. Here, the words aren't actually the important part. It's what they suggest in how we open ourselves to the experience that's actually important. And I want you to do this regardless of what you're perceiving, whether it's perceived as good or bad or neutral. That doesn't matter. Whatever it is that's arising, regardless of what your interpretation of it might be, I just want you to fully embrace it, to open up to it as much as you can. when the sensation disappears. If it disappears, just start the process again with the next one you notice. We don't need to be noticing things quickly in this exercise. Let's take our time. Let's treat everything with care and move slow. It may help as you do this to make, say, a mental note to say to yourself, accepting, or a similar word as you open yourself up to the sensation. And if you prefer not to do this, or if you find it getting in the way, then you don't need to do it. Just see if you can be okay, really deeply okay with everything that's happening. Perhaps just explore what that means. How much can you fully accept and allow what's happening? See that for yourself. Sensation after sensation, or thought after thought. See how much you can embrace and allow that. Again, the key words which get at the mental move you want to do as you notice things are accepting, opening up, embracing, allowing, welcoming. If you find yourself getting distracted by something while doing this practice, see if you can fully embrace that sensation, or thought, or mental image, the one that's causing the distraction. In this way, in this practice, distractions just become new material to work on accepting and opening up. there's a combination we're looking for here where we're fully open to things as they're happening. Yet, in a sense, we have a posture of indifference to whether they're pleasant or unpleasant. Kind of the attitude of, it's all good. Whatever it is, I'm just going to be fully with it, and it's all fine. This posture is something meditation instructor Rob Burbea, the late Rob Burbea, refers to as holy disinterest. So we're disinterested in whether what's happening is good or bad for us, but we're very deeply embracing it. In this move, there needs to be a type of trust or faith that everything's going to be okay. So maybe see if you can also bring that to the table. See if that helps. Allowing everything to fully happen. You're going to be okay, even if you do that. In fact, you're going to be better than okay. As you do this, if you're finding it working, you may even feel that as you're doing it, it feels like you're moving closer to the sensations themselves. And if you find that happening, don't get distracted by it. We can talk about it later. But for now, just keep opening up and absorbing those sensations. Again, as if we were a sponge to everything that's happening in consciousness. We're just soaking it all up. And again, if as we're doing this, sensation disappears or thought disappears, that's fine. And just notice the next thing. You can also experiment as you're doing this with seeing if you can open up to experience in a particular area. For example, the area in the chest, like the heart region, or the stomach, the gut, or the head. If you feel typically, for example, that most of your experience is in your head, maybe see if you can just open up to what's happening in the area around the heart where that's felt. Just experiment, investigate, and accept, embrace. Ultimately, we get good at this practice by allowing ourselves to feel vulnerable enough to fully expose ourselves to experience itself. This is ultimately a vulnerability practice. Which is why, in some ways, it's quite counterintuitive when we begin it. Things end up getting better by embracing them rather than running away from them. And as we do this, it can also lead to an experience of the softening of our experience. You may even notice that sensations become friendlier, softer, somewhat more pleasant through doing this. And if not, that's fine too. Just keep working at it. It's a skill that takes time to become good at. Similar to learning a musical instrument or speaking a language. It takes practice. But similarly, once you become good at doing it, the mind remembers how to do it. And the mind starts remembering how to do it when you're not sitting on the cushion meditating also, just when you're in everyday waking life. All right, great. Now, when you feel ready, you can open your eyes. See if you can keep everything open as you do so. Maybe even see what that feels like. Feel free to unmute yourselves when you wish. So that is how we work with dukkha, or suffering, the second of the three characteristics. At least this is one way you can work with it.